When it comes to lighting, there's a lot of different options you can choose from, ranging from regular headlights, high beams, your fog lamps, LED light bar, ditch lights, and the newest addition, these Auxbeam spotlights in the front. You can also have roof-mounted pod lights or a roof-mounted light bar. You might be wondering, is all this lighting actually necessary? Well, it really comes down to what kind of driving do you do and what kind of terrain. For instance, if you're driving high speed in flat desert with very little variation in terrain versus if you're driving slow speed at night through rocks or if you're driving through snow. Very, very different type of terrain and different situations for different lighting needs. So your light setup might look completely different than this light setup. There's different colors. There's amber versus white, and there's even different color temperatures. And that also depends on your driving style, what you like, and actually the length of driving. If you're driving for many, many hours with some of these lights on, eye strain is definitely going to be a factor. So let's go through some of these lights and really take a look at what kind of light do they put out and where on the road or on the trail do they light up. And that gives you an idea of some of the use case scenarios and purposes of some of these lights.
So in our first example, let's take a look at our LED light bar in some fog. You can just see how terrible this looks. This LED light bar, it is not meant for fog. Could improve this if I wanted to by tilting the light bar downward. Now, living in Minnesota, I do drive in quite a variety of snowy conditions. And there's big snowflakes, little snowflakes, snow coming straight down, snow coming sideways, just a lot of different conditions in the snow. And because of that, it actually gives a really good idea of what each of these lights can do. Now, a lot of these lights are not road legal, and this is just for demonstration purposes in an outback country road where there is nobody around. Give this a try. We have all of our lights on, and we're going to take a look at what each light covers. We have the ditch lights on the sides, the fog lights in the lower corners, the light bar in the lower front, and the headlights in the center. So pretty good coverage on all of the headlights. But what I noticed is that when driving here, there actually is still a fairly dark circle there in the center. And this can be a really difficult area to illuminate. If you just point lights up, it'll just catch more reflection off of falling snow. Even if you had a roof-mounted light bar, it would still cause the same reflection. So I decided to install these Auxbeam V-Ultra pod lights on the front bumper. Now this is the CBI covert front bumper. These Auxbeam lights fit perfectly in there. And they were sent to me by Auxbeam to try out.
When you're installing your lighting, another important thing to consider is to have your switches in a very accessible location. You want to think about what kind of driving are you doing, one hand, two hand, if you're right-handed, left-handed, and also just visibility. At night, I like to have illuminated switches, so all of my switches are illuminated. Up here, I have the Auxbeam because that's a very easy install, and I can see the toggle right here very, very easily. And it works out just really, really well. So with your switches, if you're looking at how to install some of the switches, check out some of my other videos on how to install some of these specific switches.
Now back to the Auxbeam V-Ultras. They look very, very cool. They were pretty easy to install, and what I really like about them is that you've got this DRL, this amber DRL, and then you've got these crazy bright lights. They are super bright. And here's what they look like. Here's headlights only. Now let's turn on the Auxbeams, and you can see how much that really brightens everything up. In fact, it covers so much. In fact, that area that was poorly illuminated before, we have great illumination right now. Even in falling snow, there's just not a whole lot of reflection there. They really just light up everything. So now let's go back to headlights only, and let's just see that again. Turning on the Auxbeams, there we go, and just so bright. Another advantage of how these Auxbeams are designed is that they do have reflection of LEDs out the sides, so you really get good illumination into the ditches. So this is without the ditch lights on, and you can just see how much of the periphery it actually does light up. Now these do come in amber or white light. I actually prefer the white light. So let's go ahead and compare each of the individual lights. So let's start with the Auxbeam spotlights. Now this is a snow-covered gravel road with a large field to the right. So you can see the comparison of how it illuminates the field to the right and the tree line to the left. Headlights alone don't do very much. Let's turn on the ditch lights, and now you can see it illuminates up the trees to the left and partial of the field to the right. Now let's just try the light bar. The light bar is really just meant for kind of a rectangular area right in front of you. And let's go to fog lights. Fog lights are meant to cut underneath the fog and illuminate just right in front of you, not so much very far away. Let's go back to the Auxbeam V-Ultras, and you can see that that does light up an awful lot. Now, what happens if we turn all the lights on? You can see that we really have very wide coverage on the entire tree line to the left and a good chunk of the field to the right and very, very far in front of us. So those V-Ultras really shoot out the light very far range, even further than the light bar does. So very impressed with the V-Ultras. So I hope that gives you a good idea of some of the lighting and different scenarios that I use my lighting for. I think it would be very cool to get some rooftop lighting. I don't know if that's next or not. We'll see. I very much appreciate Auxbeam for sending out these lights for me to try out and show you how they work. And if you're interested in installing these, check out my other video on how to install these V-Ultra pod lights. I also have a discount code for these if you're interested in that, and I put that in the description below. So thanks a lot for watching, and go ahead and give it a thumbs up if you found any sort of benefit or liked this video. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.